All right, so looks like we're diving deep into BRCGS certification today.
Yeah.
And you brought some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from the BRCGS Global Standards, certification guidance itself,
Right?
and then some material from UK Food Technology Service Consultancy.
Yeah. That's a great consultancy.
Yeah, and I think having both of those is going to give us like a really good overview
For sure.
of what this whole certification's all about.
Absolutely. And you know what's really fascinating is that the very existence of BRCGS really speaks to how much the food industry has changed.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, back in the day, food safety was more of a local concern.
Right.
You were worried about your local farmer.
Right.
But now, with global supply chains, ingredients being sourced from all over the world, it's a whole different ballgame.
Totally, yeah.
And you need a globally recognized standard to kind of keep everything up to par.
And that's what we're seeing, like, right in this global standards document. They really emphasize that the need for this kind of universal benchmark.
For sure.
So for anyone listening who maybe isn't, totally familiar with BRCGS,
right?
Could you just give us like a quick rundown of what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. So imagine like a seal of approval that's recognized all over the world. And it's telling everyone that a company is really serious about food safety and quality management.
Okay.
So that's what BRCGS certification provides.
Gotcha.
And it allows companies to prove that they're meeting those really high standards that are needed to keep food safe and to keep buyers confident that they're getting good products.
And we're not just talking about a handful of companies here.
No. We're talking over 20,000 companies.
Wow.
That are certified to BRCGS standards.
That's incredible.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a massive network of trust.
Yeah.
That's built on this one standard.
So it's not just about reassuring buyers.
Right.
It's about helping the company get organized.
Oh, absolutely.
And kind of systematize their processes.
Yeah. BRCGS provides a really good framework for companies to organize themselves, systematize their processes, and really embed a culture of food safety.
Now, from what I'm seeing in this UK Food Technology Service consultancy material, they actually help businesses achieve BRCGS certification.
They do.
So what does that process look like?
Well, you can't just pick up the phone.
Right.
And call BRCGS and say, hey, certify me.
Right.
It's a journey.
Okay.
And like any good journey, it starts with understanding where you are on the map.
Okay.
And that's where this consultancy can be really valuable.
Okay.
Especially in that first step, which is the self-audit or the gap analysis.
Okay.
They can help businesses take a really hard look at their current practices, compare them to the BRCGS standards, and figure out where the gaps are.
Okay, so they're kind of like holding a mirror up to your operations and saying, okay, how do we...
Right, what needs to change?
Yeah, what needs to change, exactly.
Exactly.
I can see how having like a guide for that self-audit could be...
Oh, it's essential.
Really valuable.
It is.
Especially when you look at this global standards document.
Right.
It's very comprehensive.
It is.
There's a lot to it.
There is. So you really need someone to help you break it down.
Yeah.
Make it make sense for your business.
And they don't just point out the gaps right.
No.
They help you, like, figure out how to fill them.
Exactly.
That's where the action plan comes in.
Exactly.
It's like your personalized to-do list.
It's your roadmap.
Okay.
To BRCGS certification.
So it's not just about passing the audit.
Right.
It's about building a solid system.
Precisely. It's a whole culture shift.
Yeah.
When you're implementing BRCGS. And then once you've got that system in place, you're going to need to choose a certification body to actually conduct the audit.
Wait, so BRCGS doesn't do the audits themselves?
No, they don't.
Okay.
They have a network of approved certification bodies all over the world.
Gotcha.
And UK Food Technology Service can help you with this step too.
Okay.
They can, give you the inside scoop on which bodies
right.
might be the best fit for your needs and budget.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine trying to navigate all that on your own.
It can be overwhelming.
Especially when you consider the different types of audits that BRCGS offers.
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
Okay, so you've got your traditional announced audit where everyone knows exactly when the auditors are coming.
Right.
But even there's a new twist.
Oh, what's that?
BRCGS now requires at least one unannounced audit every 3 years.
Okay.
Even for companies that choose the announced program.
Wow. So even if you're in the announced program, You still got to be prepared for a surprise inspection.
Exactly. It keeps everyone on their toes.
Yeah.
It really emphasizes that food safety.
Right.
Can't be a once-a-year performance for the auditor.
Yeah.
It has to be baked into your everyday operations.
Totally. And I'm starting to see why a consultancy like this would be so valuable.
Yeah.
Because this is complex stuff.
It is. So it can be really hard to navigate on your own.
Okay. So we've got announced audits.
Right.
Some with a surprise element.
Yes.
And then there are also blended audits.
Yes. Blended audits are kind of a new option.
Okay.
They combine a remote document review with an on-site audit.
So it's a little bit of...
Yeah, a little bit more flexible. Yeah. And it works well for companies that have really strong digital systems.
Oh, interesting.
But there's a catch.
Okay.
You can't do a blended audit for your initial certification.
Okay, so your first one has got to be...
First one's got to be fully on-site.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got announced, blended, anything else?
Well, for the truly brave, there's the fully unannounced audit option.
Oh, wow.
So with this option, every single audit is a surprise.
So no warning.
No warning.
No prepping.
You just got to be ready all the time.
Wow.
That takes a lot of confidence.
That takes a lot of confidence.
It does.
But I bet it sends a really strong message.
It does.
To your customers. Like, hey, we are serious about this.
We are serious about food safety.
Yeah.
And we're doing things right, even when you're not looking.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is all voluntary, right?
It is. It's a voluntary decision.
So you opt in.
You opt in.
To the fully unannounced.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you have to make that decision within the first 3 months of a qualifying audit.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's say we've chosen our audit type.
Right.
We're all prepped. We're ready.
Yeah.
Auditor shows up. What can we actually expect?
Well, it's not quite like having a house guest.
Okay.
But it can feel pretty intense. They're there to see your food safety management system in action.
Yeah.
They're checking processes, reviewing records, talking to staff.
Okay, now the guide lays out
right.
the different stages of the audit pretty clearly.
Yes.
It starts with an opening meeting.
Yes, that's where everybody gets on the same page.
Okay.
The auditor outlines the scope of the audit, confirms the logistics, answers any questions you might have.
Okay.
It's really about setting the stage for a successful audit.
And then comes the deep dive into the documentation.
Yes.
And the guide mentions reviewing the HACCP plan or the product safety plan.
Right.
Is a key part of this stage.
Yeah. That's where a consultancy like UK Food Technology Service can really shine.
Okay.
They can help you develop a HACCP plan that not only meets the BRCGS requirements, but also makes sense for your operation.
Right. So you're not just getting some cookie cutter solution.
No.
It's really tailored to your needs.
It's all about finding that balance between meeting the standard and tailoring it to your needs.
Yeah. Okay, so what happens after the document review?
Then the auditor gets their hands dirty, so to speak.
Yeah.
They head out to the production and storage areas to see how things actually work on the ground.
So it's like they're taking a field trip through your facility, but with a very discerning eye.
With a very discerning eye.
Yeah.
They'll be observing your processes, making sure they align with your documented procedures.
Right.
And checking for any potential hazards or areas for improvement.
Okay. The document also mentions something called vertical audits.
Yeah.
And traceability exercises.
Yes. Those are all about making sure that you can track your products backwards and forwards through the entire supply chain.
So like if a customer finds a problem with a product, you need to be able to pinpoint exactly where that product came from.
Exactly.
All the ingredients, where it went, that kind of thing.
It's all about containment and prevention.
So it's kind of like playing detective.
It is.
But with food.
With food ingredients and products.
Exactly.
And the traceability exercises are like the tests the auditor gives you.
Gotcha.
They might give you a hypothetical scenario, like, say, a customer complaint, and ask you to show them step by step how you would trace that product through your system.
So it's not just words on paper.
Right. It's got to actually work.
It's got to work.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all about, like, more than just ticking boxes.
It is.
It's about creating this whole culture of food safety.
Exactly.
That affects every aspect.
It permeates every aspect of your operation. Yeah.
I like that.
That's what BRCGS is all about.
Now, the global standards document goes on to explain some key terms that are crucial for understanding all of this. Things like fundamental requirements, validation, verification, and monitoring. Yes. So let's break down some of those. What exactly are these fundamental requirements?
So these are like the non-negotiables of BRCGS.
Okay.
The core elements that are absolutely essential for achieving and maintaining certification.
Okay.
They cover things like senior management commitment, the HACCP plan or the food safety plan, internal audits, supplier approval, corrective actions, traceability, even things like housekeeping and pest control.
Wow, so they're really trying to cover all their bases.
Yeah.
And the UK Food Technology Service Material really emphasizes that they can help companies understand these requirements and implement them in a way that
in a practical way
makes sense for their specific operations. So it's not just about following a bunch of rules. It's about really integrating them into the company culture. So once you have your fundamental requirements in place, then you have to think about validation.
So what does validation involve?
So imagine you set up a safety net to catch any potential hazards. Validation is about proving that the net actually works.
I like that.
It's about gathering evidence that your control measures, if they're implemented correctly, will actually prevent those hazards from reaching your customers.
So you're not just hoping it works. You're proving it works.
You're proving it.
Now, how do you do that?
So this might involve reviewing existing scientific data, conducting experiments, even running challenge studies to see if your control measures can withstand real-world pressures.
So this is a pretty thorough process.
It is. It's about being rigorous and about demanding proof that your system works. And that rigor is part of what sets BRCGS apart
from other standards. But validation is just the beginning. You also need verification.
Now how's verification different from validation?
So think of validation as checking the strength of the net when you first install it. Verification is about regularly inspecting that net to make sure it's still in good condition. To make sure there aren't any holes or weak spots.
So it's about ongoing monitoring.
To make sure those controls remain effective over time.
So this might involve internal audits. Reviewing records. That kind of thing.
Looking for any trends or anomalies that might suggest that your controls aren't operating as well as they should be.
And I bet monitoring plays a big role.
Monitoring is essential
in all of this.
It is. It's all about keeping your finger on the pulse of your operations. Observing key parameters like temperatures, equipment function, employee hygiene, to make sure everything is running smoothly. And that any deviations from the norm are detected early on.
So it's about being proactive.
It is.
Catching those problems. Before they become problems.
Exactly. And that proactive approach is a key characteristic of the BRCGS framework.
Now, the global standards document also explains how the requirements are color-coded to guide the audit process.
This is a helpful visual cue. It tells you which elements of your system will be assessed during different parts of the audit. So requirements marked in green will be reviewed as part of the document review. Things like your HACCP plan, your procedures, your records.
So it's all about making sure your paperwork is in order.
Yes, making sure you have everything documented.
What about the other colors?
Requirements marked in amber will be assessed during the on-site audit. So that's where the auditor is walking through your facility.